Viking Fotballklubb, most often called Viking, sometimes Viking Stavanger internationally, is a Norwegian football club from the city of Stavanger. The club was founded in 1899. It is one of the most successful clubs in Norwegian football, having won 8 Norwegian Premier League titles, most recently in 1991, and 5 domestic Norwegian Cup titles, most recently in 2001. The club has played and won more top-flight league games than any other club, and it has played in the top division since the league was established, except for the years 1966-67 and 1987-88. Notable European successes include knocking English side Chelsea out of the UEFA Cup during the 2002-03 season, knocking out Sporting CP from the same tournament in 1999-2000, and qualifying for the group stages of the 2005-06 UEFA Cup. History. Viking was founded in Stavanger in 1899 and played mainly local games in the early years. From the 1930s, the club established itself at the national level, playing in the 1933 Cup final, which it lost to Mjøndalen. During the 1930s the club produced several of its best-known players, most prominently Reidar Kvamme, who played in Norway's bronze medal-winning 1936 Olympic team. His brother Arthur Kvamme was also capped for Norway, while Bernard Lund later went on to write the club anthem. After the Second World War, Viking became a dominant side in the 1950s, beating Lillestrøm in the 1953 Cup final and Sandefjord in the 1959 final, as well as winning the league title in 1957-58. Long-serving goalkeeper Sverre Andersen was the most prominent player in this generation, while Edgar Falch also earned several caps for Norway. Rolf and Kjær Bjørnsen, Asbjørn Sharp and Leif Nicolaisen were other prominent players, while a young Olav Nilsen began his remarkable Viking career in 1959. The club attendance record also stems from the semi-final of the 1959 Cup, when 18,892 spectators saw Viking beat Odd 4-0. While the 1960s was a somewhat quieter decade for Viking, the club returned to dominate Norwegian football in the 1970s. Viking won 4 straight league titles from 1972 to 1975, as well as the double in 1979. Innovative 1972 manager Kjell Andreasen has been credited for laying the foundation for the success, with his ideas on cooperative behavior and his revolutionary use of pacey, attacking full-back Sigbjørn Slinningen and Bjørn Eklund. However, the team had a new manager every year, with Sverre Andersen, Stuart Williams and Olav Nilsen leading them to the title in the subsequent years, and Tony Natt managing the 1979 team. Midfielder Olav Nilsen was also a crucial player on the pitch in the first half of the decade, earning the nickname Olav Viking, while fellow midfielder Sven Kvia was awarded the Norwegian Player of the Year title on several occasions. Arvid Knutsen, Reidar Goa, Hans Edgar Poulsen, Erik Johannessen, Inger Valen, Johannes Vold, Sven Hammerø, Gunnar Berland and Trygve Johannessen were other key players. The 1980s started well for the club. Kjell Andreasen returned to guide the club to the league title in 1982. They also finished runners-up in the league in 1981 and 1984, and in the cup in 1984, producing players such as Bjørn Berntsen, Per Henriksen, Erik Thorstvedt, Sven Fjellberg, Nils Ove Helvik, Tonning Hammer, Isak Arnrifvik, Torbjørn Svensson, Trygve Johannessen and Gary Goodchild. However, the mid-80s saw the club relegated to the second division, and 1987 was the club's worst season in recent memory as the club fell to 8th position in the second division. While local rivals Bryn won the cup and neighbouring Minnows Vidar almost won promotion to the Tippeligaen. Swedish manager Benny Lennartsson and players Kjell John Evre and Per Holmberg arrived on large salaries to save the club. The gamble paid off when charismatic striker Alf Kertevij secured a controversial penalty in the 95th minute against Vard in the final league game of the 1988 season. Harald Ravndal converted the spot kick to give Viking the victory and secure promotion. Dubbed the Miracle in Horsens, this signaled the start of a new era, and the club won the cup in 1989 and the league in 1991. Lars Gotbo, Roger Nilsson, Kent Christiansen, Egil Fjetland, Jan Fjetland, Trond Egil Saltvedt, Mike McCabe and Borre Mindsith were other key players in a young Viking team. However, many of the young players from the 1991 league-winning squad did not manage to live up to their expectations, and the club was almost relegated under new manager Arne Larsson Oakland in 1992. Bjarne Berntsen took over as manager in mid-season and secured renewed Tippeligaen status, as well as almost knocking FC Barcelona out of the European Cup. While the club spent most of the 1990s challenging for Premier League medals, it did however never manage to challenge Rosenborg for the league championships. The 1990s was also the era of player exports in Norwegian football, and Viking made substantial earnings from the sales of striker Egil Ostenstad to Southampton for £900,000 in 1996 and goalkeeper Thomas Myhre to Everton for £800,000 in 1997, among others. Gunnar Aasc, Lars Gotbo, Magnus Svensson, Bjart Arsheim, Kenneth Storvik, Roger Nilsson and Yngve Bo were other key players in this generation. Benny Lennartsson returned in 2000 to take over from Dane Pole Erik Andreasson, and this resulted in 2 bronze medals, a cup title and a memorable European Cup victory over Chelsea. In 2003, Kjell Inge Olsen took over as manager, and the club finished 5th in the league. At the beginning of the 2004 season, the club moved to its new stadium in Jættåvagen, named Viking Stadion. At the same time, Englishman Roy Hodgson took over as manager. The club finished 9th in its first season in the new stadium and 5th in the 2005 campaign. Brede Hangeland, Egil Ostenstad, Peter Kopteff and Frode Hansen were notable players in this period. At the end of the 2005 season, Roy Hodgson quit his job as Viking coach to take over as Finland manager, and he was replaced by Tom Prahl. The 2006 season started poorly for Prahl's team and poor soon turned to terrible. With 7 matches to go, the once-feared team were situated at the bottom of the table. Former Start coach Tom Nordli was brought in on a 3-month contract to replace Tom Prahl and save Viking from relegation. Under new leadership, Viking won 3 of the first 4 games, jumping to 10th place in the standings, but were then defeated twice in a row to once again fall into the relegation zone. Now lying second from the bottom, it looked like the best the club could hope for was making the playoff spot. The season finale proved to be extraordinary, however, as Viking crushed league runners-up Brann 5-0 at home to pass both HamKam and Odd Grenland in the standings and ultimately retain their spot in the Tippeligaen. Tom Nordli was considered the favourite for the manager role after the season, but he chose a move to rivals Lillestrøm instead. On the 22nd of November 2006, Viking appointed Uwe Rosala, who was replaced by Tom Nordli in Lillestrøm just 1 week earlier, as their new manager. Under Rosala, Viking returned as a top team, and claimed the 3rd spot on the table in 2007. However, the following seasons were less successful, with Viking ending on 6th place in 2008 and 10th in 2009. They were also surprisingly knocked out of the UEFA Cup by Finnish team FC Honka in 2008, and suffered an embarrassing loss against local rivals Brynn in the domestic cup in 2009. After not living up to the expectations 2 seasons in a row, Rosler resigned from his position as manager on 18 November 2009. In early December 2009, after a period of massive speculation in local newspapers, Viking appointed Age Hareide, former manager of the Norwegian national football team, as their new manager. Failing to bring any titles to Stavanger, Hareide was sacked by the club on 9 June 2012. Kjell John Evre signed as the club's new manager on 19 June 2012. John Evre had previously had a spell at Viking as a player during his playing career. From 1988 to 1990, John Evre spent over 4 years in charge of a team suffering from the club's increasing financial difficulties, achieving acceptable results despite of the difficult financial premises. In August 2015, he renewed his contract until the end of the 2018 season. However, after the 2016 season, the club reached a mutual agreement with John Evre to terminate his contract. On 24 November 2016, Englishman Ian Birchnell was announced as the club's new manager. Colours and badge. The original kit colours in 1899 were all white. This turned out to be problematic at the time. To avoid colour bleeding from the red and yellow club badge when cleaning the white shirt, the badge had to be removed from each shirt prior to washing and then reattached afterwards. The club therefore changed to dark blue, and is now nicknamed after the dark blue colour of their shirt. The club badge is shaped like a flag, and has remained unchanged since the club's formation in 1899. The flag shape is not uncommon for Norwegian football clubs formed during the transition from the 19th to the 20th century. Other examples include Start and Fredrikstad. Achievements: League winners. Winners: 8. 1958, 1972, 1973, 1974, 1975, 1979, 1982, 1991. Runners-up: 2. 1981, 1984. Third place: 8. 1968, 1971, 1978, 1994, 1996, 2000, 2001, 2007. Cup winners. Winners: 5. 1953, 1959, 1979, 1989, 2001. Runners-up: 5. 1933, 1947, 1974, 1984, 2000. Recent history. Players and staff. Current squad. As of 4 February 2017. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Coaching staff. Administrative staff. Managers. Official website. Supporter sites. Viking Hordeen, official supporter club. Viking Forum. No. Largest Viking forum. Viking supporter. No.